Have you ever found yourself curled up on the couch, flipping through channels or staring at a bookshelf, wondering what's worth your time these days? Maybe the grandkids are raving about some new superhero movie, or your friend keeps pushing a bestseller that just doesn't click. I get it, sometimes it feels like everything's made for someone else, someone younger, and you're left hunting for a story that really speaks to you. But here's the good news. There are books and movies out there that hit just the right spot for us, folks in our 60s, 70s, and beyond. Stories that make us laugh, think, or even tear up a little, without all the noise and rush that doesn't fit anymore. That's what this video's all about, finding those gems that feel like they were made with us in mind. I've always loved a good story, whether it's the kind you sink into with a cup of tea or the kind that lights up the screen on a quiet evening. And now, at this stage of life, I think we've earned the right to be picky. We don't need explosions every 5 minutes or plots so twisty you need a map to follow them. What we want, what we deserve, are tales that resonate, that remind us of where we've been or spark a little joy for where we're at. So, in this video, I'm going to share 5 book and movie recommendations that I think you'll love. They're not just entertaining, they're the kind of stories that stick with you, maybe even make you see things a little differently. Let's start with the first one, because it's a book that had me hooked from page 1. There's this novel called The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry by Rachel Joyce, and if you haven't picked it up yet, you're in for a treat. It's about this guy, Harold. He's retired, living a quiet little life in England, when he gets a letter from an old friend who's dying. Instead of just sending a reply, he decides to walk, yes, walk, hundreds of miles to see her. Now, I know what you're thinking, that sounds exhausting. But trust me, it's not about the miles, it's about what's going on inside him. Harold's in his 60s, feeling like life's passed him by, and this journey turns into something so much bigger than he expected. It's funny, it's tender, and it's got this beautiful way of showing how even the smallest steps can change everything. I read it last winter, snuggled under a blanket, and I couldn't put it down. Every page felt like Harold was talking right to me, reminding me it's never too late to shake things up. You can grab it at the library or a bookstore, and it's a perfect pick for those cozy afternoons when you want something real. That feeling of a story pulling you in like an old friend brings me to a movie I stumbled across a while back, and it's one I think you'll love too. It's called The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, and if you haven't seen it, picture this: a bunch of retirees, folks like us, decide to move to India for a fresh start. The cast is incredible: Judi Dench, Maggie Smith, Bill Nighy, and they're all playing people who think their best days might be behind them, only to find out they're wrong. The hotel they end up at is a bit of a mess, but that's where the magic happens. It's warm, it's witty, and it's got this lovely way of showing how life can surprise you, even when you think you've seen it all. I watched it with my sister on a rainy Saturday, and we were laughing 1 minute, wiping our eyes the next. You can find it streaming or on DVD, and it's the kind of movie that makes you want to call a friend and talk about it after. Both of those picks, Harold's Walk and That Quirky Hotel, have this thread of finding new beginnings, don't they? And that's something I think we can all relate to, especially as the years roll on. But there's another book I want to tell you about that takes a different angle, one that's a little quieter but just as powerful. It's Our Souls at Night by Kent Harif, and it's this gentle, beautiful story about 2 widowed neighbors in their 70s who strike up an unexpected friendship. Addie and Louis live in this small town, and one day Addie just up and asks Louis if he'd like to sleep over, not for anything scandalous, but just to talk, to keep the loneliness at bay. What unfolds is so simple yet so deep, about connection and taking a chance on something new, even late in life. I read it in a weekend, and it left me feeling warm all over, like I'd spent time with real people I cared about. It's short, easy to read, and perfect for when you want something that feels true. You'll find it at most libraries, and there's even a movie version with Jane Fonda and Robert Redford if you'd rather watch. So, with Harold's journey, that hotel in India, and Addie and Louis keeping each other company, we're off to a good start. But there's another movie I can't wait to share, one that's got a little more spark and a lot of heart, perfect for when you're in the mood to laugh and cheer. So, there I was, still smiling about Addie and Louis finding each other in that quiet little town, when I remembered this movie that's got a completely different vibe but hits just as hard. It's called The Intern, and if you haven't seen it yet, you're in for a real treat. Picture this: Robert De Niro plays Ben, a 70-year-old widower who's retired and feeling a bit lost. Instead of sitting around, he applies to be an intern at this trendy online fashion company run by Anne Hathaway's character, Jules. At first, it's all fish-out-of-water stuff. Ben's in a suit while everyone else is in jeans, and he's got a briefcase when they're all tapping away on laptops. But then it turns into something so much more. He's got this steady, wise way about him that starts rubbing off on everyone, and pretty soon, he's the heart of the place. It's funny, it's sweet, and it's got this great message about how much we still have to offer, no matter our age. I watched it with my neighbor Pat a while back. We popped some popcorn and settled in, and we couldn't stop talking about it after. Pat loved how Ben didn't let anyone write him off, and I kept thinking about how he made me want to try something new myself. It's not preachy, though, just a good story with a lot of laughs and a few moments that tug at your heart. You can stream it online or pick up the DVD, and it's perfect for a night when you want something light but meaningful. Plus, De Niro's charm is worth the watch alone. He's got that twinkle in his eye that makes you root for him from the start. It's the kind of movie that leaves you feeling good about where you're at, and maybe even a little proud of the experience you bring to the table. That spark of energy from The Intern got me thinking about another book that's got a different kind of pull, one that's a bit more adventurous but still feels like it's speaking right to us. It's The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out the Window and Disappeared by Jonas Jonasson. Now, I know the title's a mouthful, but stick with me. It's about Alan Carlson, a guy who, on his 100th birthday, decides he's not done living yet. He climbs out of his nursing home window and takes off, stumbling into all sorts of wild escapades. Think stolen suitcases, unexpected friends, and a chase that keeps you guessing. But it's not just a madcap runaround. It flashes back to his life, all the way from the Spanish Civil War to meeting world leaders, and you see how he's lived this huge, messy, incredible existence. I picked it up on a whim at the library, and I was hooked. The way it mixes humor with heart had me chuckling one minute and nodding along the next. What I love most about Alan's story is how it flips the script on what we think getting older looks like. He's not slowing down because of some number. He's out there making trouble and making memories. It's a bit zany, sure, but it's got this undercurrent of defiance that I think we can all relate to, that refusal to let anyone tell us our time's up. The book's an easy read, with short chapters that make it perfect for picking up whenever you've got a spare moment. My friend Marge read it too, and she said it made her want to plan a little adventure of her own, nothing as wild as Alan's, but maybe a road trip she'd been putting off. You'll find it at most bookstores or libraries, and if you're not big on reading, there's a movie version too, though I'd say the book's got an extra layer of magic. So, with Ben showing us how to shine in a new gig and Alan proving age is no barrier to a wild ride, we've got a couple of stories that pack a punch. But there's one more I want to share, a movie that's quieter, softer, and so beautiful it'll stay with you long after the credits roll. So, there I was, still chuckling about Alan Carlson's wild escape out that window, when my mind drifted to a movie that's the complete opposite in pace but just as unforgettable. It's called A Man Called Ove, and if you haven't seen it yet, you're in for something special. It's based on a Swedish book by Fredrik Backman, and it's about this grumpy old guy named Ove. He's in his late 60s, widowed, and pretty much done with the world. He's the kind of neighbor who'd rather bark at you for parking wrong than say hello. But then this lively young family moves in next door, and bit by bit, they crack through his crusty shell. It's not loud or fast, it's slow and steady, peeling back Ove's layers to show the love, loss, and stubborn hope he's been carrying around. I watched it with my cousin Ellen one snowy evening, and we both ended up with tissues in hand, smiling through the tears. What gets me about this one is how real it feels. Ove's not some saint, he's cranky, set in his ways, and at first, you might not even like him. But as you see his story unfold, through flashbacks to his younger days with his wife, you get why he's the way he is. And the way those neighbors, especially this warm, persistent woman named Parvana, bring him back to life, it's like watching a flower bloom in winter. It's funny in places, heartbreaking in others, and so beautifully done. The subtitles might take a minute to get used to, it's in Swedish, but trust me, you'll forget they're there. You can find it streaming or at the library, and it's perfect for a night when you want something that sinks in deep. Ellen said it made her think about her own grumpy moments, and how maybe we all need a little nudge to let people in sometimes. With Ove's story lingering in my mind, I started thinking about how all these pics, Harold walking across England, those retirees in India, Addie and Lewis sharing quiet nights, Ben finding his groove, Alan dodging trouble, and now Ove finding his heart again, they've got something in common. They're about us, about where we're at in life, with all the mess and magic that comes with it. They're not flashy or over the top, they're stories that meet us where we are, reminding us we've still got plenty to feel, to laugh about, to hope for. I've loved curling up with these books and movies, and I hope you will too. They're like good company on a rainy day. And you know, as I sit here chatting with you, it strikes me how much fun it is to share these finds. Whether it's a book that keeps you up past bedtime or a film that has you calling a friend to say, "You've got to see this," there's something special about passing them along. So, I'd love to hear from you. What's a book or movie you've stumbled across that you think folks like us would enjoy? Maybe it's an old favorite, or something new that surprised you. Drop it in the comments, I'm always on the lookout, and I bet there's someone watching who'd appreciate it too. If you've enjoyed these recommendations, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. There's more where this came from, because we've got plenty of stories left to discover. Here's to finding the ones that light us up. Cheers to that.